You have turned in a report for your committee and Shelley has it before and it goes out in the meeting packet. You do not have to go over your whole report at the meeting. In the savings of time, which is time. If there's something you want to add, then just, let's have that from the individual people, if that's possible. Attendance, I think everybody's here, so, minutes of the October 11th meeting. Anybody?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes October 11th.
Is there a discussion? None? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. The October 30th special meeting minutes. Anybody?
I'll make the motion for October 30th special meeting
As presented?
as presented.
Okay. Second? Okay, thank you, Al. Any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's carried. Amend the agenda. I want to add closed session, but we'll do it at 5:45, wherever that is on the agenda, somewhere. Huh? Or before, so I'm gonna put it right after. How about after new business? That way it should be early enough. If I have to move it up, I can on 3 items. I will say what those are at the time. Okay. Anybody else?
Just a point on going into closed session, you have to decide what you're gonna do with that while we're doing it.
You know, we'll just leave it on.
Leave it on. We need to let people know that it's on.
I will.
I didn't, I accidentally just kept the thing on and put interesting comments, but
Again. Buyer beware. kind of thing.
Transparency, Al.
yeah, we're transparent, all right.
Okay, public comment. Anybody? Going, gone. Okay. Clerk's report.
Any questions on the revenue and expense or balance reports that were in the
We got
plan?
money left?
We do.
Okay.
Okay, so I do have one more item, well, actually 2 items. Spicer had sent me an email with a picture, an overhead picture, kind of probably from a drone of our kayak launch, asking if they can use that picture on their calendar. Is there consensus that
Fine with
we
me,
can?
Yes.
Okay, and also, we have needed an easel and stuff in the past, and, the fire department has approached me wondering if they can purchase a whiteboard that could probably double as an easel, because you can use magnetic strips on it. It's a 72 by 40, it's $295, 2-sided. I don't really need a motion, but do you guys have a problem if we split it with them, or do you want me to take it all out of their fund, or?
We have an antique in there, but
Why don't we just split it?
split it or something.
Yeah, is that fine?
Okay, yeah, I'm,
Consensus, so everybody okay with that, Al? Ed, is that all right? Okay.
okay.
Where's it going?
We can store it back
Okay.
there
Okay,
somewhere,
got it, don't stand.
huh?
It'll have its own stand?
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
wheels,
Okay.
so. Okay,
Okay,
that's
good.
all I have. Yeah.
That's it?
Yep. thank you.
Ted?
Treasurer's report was in the packet. Getting ready to do the 2023 winter tax roll, finalize the special assessment roll. I've got to get that community. The phone system implementation is moving forward. We got the phones in. And they're gonna start programming shortly, so that shouldn't take very long at all.
Okay.
So that's, we had, investment, interest rates about 5.5, so that's staying up there because the Fed still has not lowered rates down. They're gonna keep them where they're at probably for another year. That's all I got.
Okay,
You said
we do
that-
have money left.
They're
We do.
starting the programming, you said?
Okay, fire report, sir. Good. Other than the one we received, but you said you had.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to add, I don't think I put it in there. Manistee County is attempting to put a ice rescue team together. So it'll be multiple departments. It'll go off the all county page. There should be a,
Do you have anybody here who wants to?
yeah, we'll probably have 4 people that'll
Oh,
do
really?
it.
Okay.
And then, so, the reason for doing it is try to avoid the Haley Lake incident from last winter, so, we'll probably participate in that. It'll fall under the mutual aid agreement, so nothing that you have to do about it.
Okay, for right now, you're just informing us.
Yeah, just making you aware of it in case you hear anything in the street about it.
Okay. And I'll just ask, we're gonna be over for the year for runs, are we not? Based
Yeah.
on last year, I mean, questions. Should-
Yeah, I think we'll be over by a little bit.
Okay. Anybody questions for Rob?
Thank you for, if you were involved in getting that debriefing schedule.
I
I'm
was.
Curious to hear what they said.
I was,
to go with
yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, I was the one that reached out and said, hey, we gotta get this thing done, so. Yeah,
Thank you. I know we talked about it and it obviously worked, so.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. Mr. Dons, you're up.
Okay, board met on the 24th of last month. We made some appointments. Central Wellness, Jack Winus was appointed, DHHS board. Hattie McElrath was reappointed. That's the medical care board. And board of canvassers, Dave Nijolski was appointed as the Republican, and Rich Albee was for the Democrats. We had one appointment for the airport. We had a vacancy because Andrew Gentili left, was on airport board. He left employment here in Manistee County, and we've got a vacancy there anyways. We had 3 votes, and it was deadlocked, and we were 2 shy of a full board, so we're gonna readdress it again coming up for November. So we did not fill that one as of yet. Treasurer reported to us foreclosures. We had 2 that didn't sell. And that was going back to auction October 30th. I don't have an update in regard to that. We signed off on the county reapportionment report. Done annually. Eastlake Village, we signed the zoning administration contract for them. And also Onekama Village. We're seal coating everything on all our pavement, parking lots and whatnot. That's a $20,000 bill. Manistee County Tourism Authority came before the board, gave us a report. Sammy Lukaskevich, I tell you, that's a dynamic lady. She does a fantastic job. Tourism for 2022 was up 10%. Numbers that she gave us is it's worth $142 million in monetary activity. That's up 6%. And it's adjacent for 971 jobs, and that does not believe to include the casino, which she was gonna get confirmation in regard to that, if it does or doesn't. As far as points of interest in Manistee, downtown Manistee is number 1, number 2 is the casino, number 3 is Manistee National, number 4 is First Street Beach, and number 5 is Tippy Dam. Veterans, Rick is got a dental program in place, but you gotta go get up to Traverse City for it. It's called Victors for Vets. It's through U of M. But again, you gotta get up there. And the other thing he emphasized to get out is his Facebook page for the veterans through the county is being updated frequently. So any veterans, if there's some information, you get access through that Facebook page. So spread that amongst your colleagues and vets. Jeff Johnson came before us with the annual report. One point of note was the state used to have at least 400 beds for youth. We're down to 30. It's a massive problem. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous because they have a youth that needs to be attended, might wind up going to Indiana. And that's not good on many levels. Their budgets were 19.6 million. Bill Kennis, our grant administrator and also our project manager for the rail relocation program, came before us, gave us a little bit of an update on rail relocation, which is crawling along, but getting some serious traction. One note as far as the grant writing process is they put in for a Minger grant for the Calva Trailhead. Bear Lake Township signed off on a PA 69 for recycling. Lumley Drain, as I reported you last month, was tabled to this October. That has been abandoned. Going through the process now, but we signed off on it. We signed a contract with Gaybridge for auditing for 3 years. Katie is going to be, I don't know if you've got anything signed on paper yet as far as being the planning coordinator, director.
Yeah, Lisa and I have talked about it. I don't think it's official on paper yet.
Not on paper, but
Yes. On track to be,
it will happen.
yes.
And then, probably, I don't know if I mentioned last month, we are looking at putting the joint court back in place. That was something that was abandoned around 17. And, it's another tool for the court system and law enforcement. So we're going to get that reestablished. I really don't know a lot about it, but I'll probably wind up sitting on that board.
What do you mean joint court?
It's joint courts, the committee, but the county corrections board is what it is. So the joint courts, the committee, but the county corrections board is what would be reestablished. Community corrections, community corrections. Read my own chicken scratching here.
Okay, thank you.
Also on the health department board and RSV, it says the vaccine for that is 80% effective for seniors and infants. So if you haven't gotten it, that's something you might want to consider. I'll let you guys deal on any other vaccine, but that one is probably worth an endorsement. And I think that's probably about all I've got, unless you guys want to talk anything in regard to recycling, or you want to let that roll.
No, the bed thing, when you say it went from 400 to, are you talking about a Manistee County?
No, that's statewide.
So there were 400 some beds and now there's 30, so where'd they go? I mean,
The way things are done from where they were, say 30 years ago to today is two different worlds.
So Jeff, are you talking just incarceration at jail beds or? mental health?
Basically, so you can't just put them in a jail.
Right,
You gotta have a specialized bed for youth so that they are
so
not in danger.
statewide, we have 30.
That's what was reported to us. Yes, it is a major problem. And it costs staffing time transporting to and from. There's no family support, which there may not be family support anyways, because they're getting into these positions. But if there is, if they wind up in Indiana, it's a little difficult to get them. I mean, how many people are gonna make that trip? For how long, it's not a good situation. It's something that needs to be addressed. Everybody's aware of it up and down the food chain. But it just emphasizes how bad it is.
okay, so now we get to recycling. So I was at that green meeting and told to move the things. I'm working on it. I've contacted the school.
Are they taking that back or don't you know?
Taking the
Trailer.
No,
They're not.
no. He's got, the new superintendent, I think, has enough on his plate to try to deal with that and everything else that he's got going, which I can appreciate. So I think Shelley told Carla the other day, did you tell her that or you didn't tell her that, Carla, that they didn't want the trailer?
No, I didn't tell her.
Okay, I have to confer that to her and I haven't done that yet, so. Obviously, the board voted, you heard, I told you that. Not to- okay.
3-1, yep.
So, there we go. And I called someone from, the person, her name is, she's on that committee. She's also on the fair board, the green team. Talked to her
Yeah,
after,
Janice McCrainer.
no,
Elaine.
Elaine Bossing.
Blossingham.
Yeah, and told me, I tried to ask her if we could leave the, up to, and they said, no, it takes up too much room there because of the parking area. They're limited to who they can park. Now it's 80 feet long, just so you know, and 15 feet deep. I figured that out at 6 cars, but apparently when I drive by there, it's packed every day. If you notice, there's barely a place to park in there. So obviously they need the spot. So that being said, I find out, and I don't know if this is true, so I'm gonna ask, we talked about that other property on the north side of, was it John Street, right? So was that ever discussed at the county level?
It was turned over to the green team to see what they wanted to, you know, that's where it needs to kind of go to the committee. We did discuss it. Our board feels, well, you were there at the green team meeting, so,
Yeah, they told me no.
yeah. If that's what the board and when the board speaks, I gotta speak on behalf of the
Okay,
board.
is that the
I'm the-
board said it or they said it?
Well, both. The board, the sentiment of the board, I was in a minority, I think I probably was in a minority of one last board meeting in regard to that. Felt as though when you guys took the trailer, you wanted to move it out of here. It was a handshake deal for a month to have the pavement redone.
No,
Lived
no,
up to-
no, I'm
okay.
moving on, all. I understand. I mean, the property across the street.
I know,
Well, when was someone gonna let me know that that happened?
what's that?
That they decided that we weren't gonna do anything with us on that?
Well, we
Because
don't
that's what I
know,
was
we don't
told
know,
now.
we don't know if we're not gonna do anything on that. The short term is try to figure out some way to keep the recycling in place. Either here or wherever, and then work on a longer term solution. To where we have time to get it wrapped up and have some I's dotted and T's crossed.
Well,
for
then I
next
told the
spring.
wrong information then. I was told that they voted on it and they were not gonna do anything with that property and the township. Was that a
We
true
did,
statement or not?
we did not vote on it.
So what's the status of that?
Again, our board did not want to do anything in regard to that because they felt it should come back here and we could work on a longer term solution.
There, you can ask my board, is the trailers coming back here?
No,
Okay.
Understood,
Okay.
but that was not what was said when they went over there.
No,
okay,
It's as simple as
I
that.
understand that.
Jeff,
but-
this is, okay, I'm just gonna.
I'm not gonna sit and argue.
No, I'm not
because this
arguing,
is-
I'm not, I'm
It's
just
not,
saying.
it's not one of those things that, we're not gonna come to agreement on it. If there's if the outcry is high enough and you wanna get something long-term, we need to work out a solution, whatever that is. And that's what I'm all about, is trying to figure out a middle ground where we can make things happen. And what I understand, there's even a couple of acres that the township has over there, somewhere apparently by the fairgrounds, must be on the other side.
Garden Park,
Garden Park?
I have no idea.
That's what it is.
What it is. They said it was 2 acres.
It's a park
so
Is it?
we
there's a
have,
Park over here?
yes,
behind the fairgrounds on the little creek there.
What kind of?
It even has a bench.
It has a
It
sign.
has a bench and a sign.
And
Okay.
a creek.
Yeah,
Right
great.
in the middle of that 2 acres.
Tell them to put the trailers over there. It's a great spot.
we have
The-
been trying,
I said, my comment was, if there was a viable place that the township had property, I'm sure it would already been put in place.
There actually is, out at the point,
North Point
North Point
Park,
Park, we could have the recycled trailers out there. I mean, you
That's
know,
North Point Park.
the park, right in the middle there of Bayview.
there's plenty of room out there, we have a bunch of
40,
acreage
50
out there.
acres, we could put it right there, I guess.
Oh, okay. The old airport property.
Mhm.
Golf course, airport, whatever you wanna call it.
Temporarily.
The
Out by
reasoning
Andy's Point.
that I had said no is because we have been coming up with ideas over that way for a few years now, and everything just seems to be hitting a wall. And everything that we've proposed to the county says no. So we're trying and we're not getting any help.
We and what I would tell you coming from our side is we put a ton of work in trying to get a grant to make that happen. A lot of effort.
I'm
and
not
it
talking
has
about
not
the
happened.
grant.
Doesn't matter. There's a hell of a lot of time and effort put in to try to get that done, and it didn't happen. And it's still not dead.
What about the triangle behind the fairgrounds or the other spot?
Well, by
other
the barn is
triangle?
another option. And again, I would encourage everybody to sit at the table and have that dialogue and try to come up with something. I think one of the big catches becomes that is not a 4-season road. It's not a county primary where you have access. If the township and the road commission want to turn that current pavement on John Street into a 4-season road, so you can have truck access, I think that's a major step forward in that, but that's one of those things you gotta
two questions. Bear Lake Township just joined and they have a nice facility to put stuff in
Yeah.
right now, right? When's that gonna open up?
I assume that's recycling right now up there, but I don't know that.
There's no trailers there, I don't think. I don't know.
No, because they're in town.
The trailers are in town by the school. aren't
Yeah,
they?
somewhere around.
But if we needed a temporary home for the extra 4 bins, could we put them there temporarily? If you talk to Jeff or whoever,
That's their future city fire department.
temporarily.
On that property
Anyway,
where
if
they
they
have
want-
the
if they
leak
wanted
drive,
them
where
there,
they
they
do their
could do
trash
that.
pickup, is that what you're talking
I'm
about?
not sure which one it is.
It's over by Zeems, I thought.
It's
Yeah.
on
Yeah, that's the
31
one
by
I'm thinking
Seams,
of.
they put
It's a
gravel in
decent
and,
sized property, I think they
They
just.
put a-
use it
Oh,
for,
where
like,
they
twice
want to
a week
put the
trash
township
pickup.
hall?
Yeah.
Okay.
they've already put gravel in there. About
So that might be an
100,000.
option to talk to Carl about possibly.
May it'd be up to her. I guess. So,
So the property with the barn, is that under the control of the fair board or the county board?
As I stated last month, the one problem you get into is the fair board is a bunch of volunteers that work on behalf of taking care of that property. They don't really,
But is that,
Okay.
is that chunk
if,
of the
if
barn
we
part
want to
of that?
dictate that, I'm sure we can.
Okay,
But again, you want to bring people to the table and everybody work through the process, make something happen. And that to me is the most logical place. Get a cyclone fence around it, put a little bit of green buffer, it already has power there. And
I'm sure.
Make
it's
something
90
happen.
grand, so,
so in regards to, it's not a Four Seasons road, there's residences back there. I'm pretty sure the Republic Services sends their garbage trucks down there in the winter time. I don't know why we couldn't send a recycling truck down there.
I don't know the answer to that. That might be an assumption people were making and somebody might have made the statement that it wasn't. And therefore that's supposedly a death knell to it, which it may be a myth as opposed to reality.
I can't imagine a fully loaded trash truck weighs more than or doesn't weigh as much as a recycling truck.
Yeah, I don't know.
maybe about the same, or maybe a little bit more. You tell me 65,000 pounds.
I don't know, I would think if that road was red line, we could say the heck with it until spring and then work on improving it a little bit, whatever it takes to get it done. You know, I heard a number of $125,000. I can't believe that. What is it, 1,000-foot stretch?
180 grand. You have to grind it up and put 4.5 inches asphalt.
Okay, well, the numbers that they're throwing around, a mile stretch is, say, $300,000.
No way. A mile stretch of grinding up the road and putting it down new?
That's what they work through.
800.
800,000, that's what it's up to.
Yes, how's that?
That number has inflated enormously in the last few years.
Well, no kidding, but that's, so is asphalt. You priced asphalt.
Yeah, well, it correlates to oil, but
Yeah, well, oil, no, it doesn't correlate to oil at all, really, because it's 3-4 times what it was 5 years ago. Anyways, it doesn't matter. It's $180,000 to go down to that building, okay?
okay, so
Our share's
that
half.
would be 90-90,
Yeah. Okay,
if that was something that the township wanted to pursue.
I'd rather put the money in our own property personally, so.
So Vic, while we're sitting here talking recycling and we're trying to find a temporary home for the green bins, could you maybe talk to the Parks Commission and see if they would have a recommendation as to where we might put green bins at North Point Park possibly for a short period of time?
Well, I'll ask,
I wasn't in the scope.
but I think I know the answer to that.
Well,
I
they can
don't-
give
I don't-
recommendations.
Well,
It
it
is-
doesn't
it's
have
our
to be in
decision.
the park. I mean, there's a lot of
The
acreage over
question
there.
is, if the township board wanted to put them there, where would you recommend that they go for a short period of time? Not,
I
You can't
personally
put
have a
them.
recommendation, but I will ask
okay,
them.
that would be awesome.
And it would be conditional on it being a short period of time, correct? That's how I would pose the question.
I think it would be temporary. I don't know what kind of time frame that entails, but I would say less than a year.
Well, we're all here
You-
temporarily.
you
I
wanna
mean,
be- you
Need a
wanna-
little bit more definition to temporary.
Well, temporary was 4 years over here.
Are you a lawyer?
Nobody's dealt with a lot of them over the years.
I slept at a Holiday Inn Express.
But you would like to, obviously, we don't want it there in the summer. So just is an option. We're just looking at options.
You know, realistically, it's not even our call. It's a countywide program. It doesn't say we're supposed to.
We are not mandated to have a location, to supply a location. That is not part of 69.
We're not
There are,
mandated to
there
have
are,
the bins.
there are local units that are part of 69.
And have
that
no
don't have
location.
bins.
I agree. So,
So let me ask this question, the location that would be likely, it's also on a dirt road, which I would imagine has the same restrictions as this. At North Point, because I'm thinking it's that back area.
doesn't it have like 12 or 14 inches of compacted gravel there? When you pull in, it's really hard as a rock.
Are you talking about in the parking
Yeah.
lot?
Or no? No, it
Well,
probably
I
the
think
same.
there would be
You know what?
significant
No, it's
objections
the
to
same,
that.
it's the same restrictions. It'd be the same.
So it sounds to me like the best shot is
Yes,
to talk to Bear Lake Township. And see if they'll take a few more bins until we can get a better location. Or the barn building. with the
Well, there again, there needs to be some dialogue, and what I would encourage is David or someone from the township board. Go back to the green team, say, you know, we'd like to, if you get a program to where he goes to Bear Lake or something like that for the short term. If you have a short term solution, let's work on a long term fix.
I don't think I should go back. But I mean, they
Let
told me,
Kelly go.
they told me, no, she's not her,
Okay.
no, not her either. Maybe Dick. They told me we ruined the grass over there because they moved that trailer, the cardboard trailer, and yeah, there's a couple tracks where it was muddy that day. I mean, I got kind of scolded for that, and it's like, okay, I'm not the guy to talk to.
Well, okay, so if this dialogue were to take place, there has to be open communication and open minds,
Agree,
so. On both sides,
agree.
I can do that, if they can do that.
Well, I wanna understand, and maybe Bob, it's a question for you with Mr. Solheim, why. I can run a garbage truck down that road, but I can't run
They might be only running half full to where you don't know that.
I don't know, but we need
You
to
also
find
have,
out.
you also have a businessman that has heavy equipment running up and down that road.
Empty is what I was told.
Empty, I've been told that too, so I don't, and I think the recycle trailer weighs more, the truck itself weighs more.
Or
than
maybe
the
they have to
truck.
run half full then. I mean,
I don't know that, I should ask that question.
That's about what the paper truck runs anyways.
No, I'm talking about the bins, and the truck to empty the green bins is heavier loaded than would allow by, I think, the crosswalk. I think, that's what I was told, and I don't know. Okay. Dan?
Can I just input? What about that?
Okay, so here's all the spots we looked at, the place on 8 Mile,
Yeah.
Bob and I looked at that a year ago, Bob,
Couple years,
a
bro.
couple years ago, there's a creek right there behind it.
Yes, there is.
It's open water.
Yes.
It's not big enough to get a truck in and out without creating backing the semi in worse than it is here for the paper trailer. And then you have that potential of that going right into water. Here, at least we're on a swamp that's supposed to alleviate part of that problem. And they wanted, I don't remember at the time, Bob, but we just determined it was the board determined it was just not big enough. Where else did we
Money
look?
wise,
Huh?
They wanted, yeah, they jacked the price way
They
up.
jacked it
too.
up with like 35 grand or something for that little piece. We asked the Lions Club about up here. By their building, they don't own the property. That is actually, the school gave them a
like,
Like the big.
life lease, like kind of,
That 3-car drive by the.
yeah, where they store their stuff. And there'd be enough room there kind of, but they don't own it. They don't have any rights to do that.
Did somebody measure that property out there? I did a lot of walking out of it just because of the stress that's going on here. And it seemed to me the green bins could go along where the creek runs and you put a cyclone fence along there and it also.
Yeah, but then we run into the problem where everybody leaves, then you're not stopping the potential for contamination, because they leave the stuff out here is what it is. It's not, it's. Yeah, it'd be okay if everyone followed the rules, Dan. Nobody follows the rules.
First guy to dump a bucket full of oil in there.
I mean, so, and it's not big enough. I mean,
Okay, and cause I thought on the east side of it was big enough to put a semi in there even.
The other place that was suggested but was shot down. I suggested it and then I suggested, is there any place at the road commission that we can do this? They're centrally located,
yeah, they have plenty of room, but they don't want it there either.
why not?
They don't want it.
Why don't you want it here? Same reason.
nobody wants it in their backyard.
Yeah.
No, I don't want it here because it's a pain in the butt to get out of this place.
Now, Jeff, look at it this way. If we had those bins at the county parking lot, and that trailer, and do that to your lot, and then see how much people you get in and out here, how that works. It just doesn't work good. It's just a poor idea.
I'm not gonna argue the point.
No, I'm not arguing.
The point of it is that we work towards a long-term solution, that's where we should be heading. If you can get a short-term fix, to buy some
We have.
time.
My observation is that we should not have recycling in the basin at all. It's too close to the lake. Should be up on the hill. I don't know where, but
We could put it on township property on Urban Road, but then no one's gonna go there.
If you have it, they will go,
You think?
yes.
Yeah.
Those that are committed will.
Well, we got room up there. We got 40 acres.
Well, they can also, they can go to their lake as well.
It'd be easier to go to Bear Lake, it's a lot closer probably.
I mean, legally, they can go to
Legally, they can't
their
anyway.
lake.
All right, we're not gonna fix this today. Maybe in closed session we will. Okay, that's it. I don't have anything else. Anybody else?
Anything else?
Anybody in the audience?
Anybody?
Thank you, actually,
Yeah, progress
read
on-
the 911 board is. Or the 911 dispatch is doing good. They hired what they needed and
Any progress on what's gonna happen with the hospital system?
We aren't gonna solve that at all. No, that's a nationwide issue. I met with Kelly last week. And again, this is not a Manistee thing, this is a US thing. And there is no simple solutions to any of this stuff. And the question that I posed is what are we doing to change the mandates for staffing levels in rural areas? So if you wanna have an OB, you gotta have minimum staffing to it. And I probably said this last month, and so you may have one birth in Manistee a week, you may not have any, you may have 7, it's all over the place. And when the state, if you're going to have that service, and then the legal profession tells you what you gotta have. And which, you know, becomes mandated, and then
Which
you
is
got what's
24
going on in
they say
Lansing right now.
24 hours a day, is that what they say?
Like,
something like
I would,
that.
there's certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, you know. If you're gonna offer a particular service, you gotta meet minimum standards. Otherwise, and that's what's fueling the Spoken Hub system right now. There is going to be inpatient services in Manistee. I was told it was not, she told me there will be. There are gonna be 15 beds in Manistee available. They said it's rare for them to ever have more than that.
Sure.
it's
So
something.
that's positive. But again, it's not where you want it to be, but there's a lot of things driving it. And the catch on the whole thing becomes, how many things do you keep sliding? How many loss leaders do you have before you lose the whole ship? You know, I'm not happy about it. I don't know anybody who is. But there's only so much you can do, unless somebody's got a sugar daddy or mama that wants to write some massive checks to cover stuff, you know, and those aren't coming through the wall right
The
now.
feds, they got all kinds of money. They're writing checks everywhere.
That's no argument there.
That's true, but.
You know, and what's going on in Lansing right now, they're trying to push higher minimums. Yes, so the nurses is a prime example, the unions are pushing it. And they want to see more people involved because there's some god awful number, like 50,000 nurses that are licensed nurses that aren't in the profession, something along this line. And they figure, well, if they've mandated services, well, they have to be that tough of job because my numbers are going to get lower because we got more people on staff. I may get back to work. That's not how it's gonna work.
Sure.
So it's one of those things we aren't gonna fix, but we need to definitely bark at our state and fed elected officials in regard to it. And again, liability has dictated a lot of stuff in this country, and this is a prime example of one that's killing rural America. A slow death, it's a trickle.
Jeff, are you convinced that they're in compliance with the agreement they signed with the county back in the day?
I am not, but having said that, Ed, I don't know if there's a dang thing you're gonna do about it, because I can tell you, my gut reaction is an emotional reaction. My logical reaction, it's a little different. Because again, if it's not in the, how it was stated in the contract, what are you gonna do?
No, I
You
get
know?
that, but I'm saying, does the language in the contract, are they violating any of that, in your opinion?
Let's put it this way, the gorilla in the room at the time, there was a couple of them. One was the ambulance service supposed to be maintained exactly as it was as the day of sale. That has not. can't fix it. It's not an easy fix.
But that would be the one that you have some teeth in. I mean, that's the one I think.
Well, the
most
other one
people-
was, it's supposed to have X amount of beds as opposed to
Yeah.
available.
I don't think the beds is, just speaking personally, is as big of an issue if they're not having more than 15 typically anyway, but I think the ambulance service is every rural community around the city, feels that.
Struggled with it. Yeah, everybody is.
Was the contract, Jeff, at the time of sales with the county?
The sale was with the county, yes, the months is direct.
And any conversation to deal with that falls upon deaf ears?
It's getting reviewed. But again,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, I know.
if you wanna sit and try to make a legal battle out of it, it's one of those things, if you're sitting at the bar, it makes perfect sense. When you get into the nuts and bolts of it and trying to fix it, you're not going to. You know, it's one of those, it's easy to throw a dart at, but it's not easily fixed.
Agreed.
You know, it's no different. When we were selling it, we were concerned, we did not want it to become a Paul Oliver.
No, I remember.
It was stated time and time again, I figure our population would never allow that because we got too many people here compared to Frankfurt. But lo and behold, we're on the edge of it. And Glenn, you were on the board, or are you still on the board?
I was at the time, and we were totally opposed to what we had to do. We basically, because of, in the common terms, Obamacare dictated that we could not keep the hospital under the structure that it was. If we tried, we would have to close it. So it was.
Well, we couldn't get a loan either to
Yeah.
improve things.
Yeah. And we, trust me, the members of the board were not happy with that at all. It's one of the reasons I'm no longer there.
Yeah, well, and, you know, I made the comment during negotiations, whatever Munson's parent board is going to dictate is exactly what's going to happen. And they're trying to blow smoke up my skirt on that. That was, you know, that's just logical. You know, the local board becomes a sounding board and nothing more. Would you agree with that? Kind of.
I put the question during a board meeting to the president of the Munson system. I said, just what does this board do now? Because we have been an operational board and giving guidance to how the hospital is run. And he looked a little bit sheepishly and said, well, you do all the approvals for people to come in here, you know, the accreditation type of thing. And I said, is that it? And he goes, yeah. So we became an advisory board of some sort. And a number of us left. We were there to actually run a hospital.
Okay. Any other questions for Jeffrey?
Always fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting up with us.
Yep, thanks.
All right.
Jeff,
Yep.
almost a mile would be 552,000. I just got a quote, 24 quote for.
Yeah,
point nine.
But that's still a good
no,
question.
but that's not all season road, is it?
Yes,
Millark Road is not.
Millark is not?
I think
As
it
far as
is.
I know, it was never
Yeah,
made an
I
all
thought-
season
I
road.
thought that
I think it
was,
is.
I thought that was when they redid it back in the nineties.
We just redid it.
I don't see any signs that says.
Part of it.
seasonal.
Part of it, yeah.
This is for the
That
last.
seasonal just doesn't meet the standard. It's.
Well, still, it's a
Anyway,
good question for Bob to check on that,
That's-
for that, and
that's
then
what it
another
is.
question on the recycling.
It's not a four season road. I know it's not. I know how much it costs. We did Urban Road that little bit. Remember how much that was? About 4 years ago. Anyways, thank you.
All right, adios.
Bye.
Molly's not here, so I'm supposed to give the report. The report is, we're working on permit and rechecks. And that'll be done by the end of December. The factor for next year's multiplier for taxable value increase is a 5% increase. So if in fact your taxable value is less than your assessed value by more than 5%, the taxable value is gonna go up 5% or up to your assessed value, whichever is
Okay, the factor, what?
105. It's a 105 factor, 105. You're paying 5% extra on your taxable value, period. Just say that. Same as last
get
year,
with
it
you
went up
later.
5% last year. in case you're wondering.
5% increase on,
Taxable value. So that's 10% in 2 years, which is quite a bit. I'm gonna move you guys, I'm gonna amend this so you guys can come up here while everyone's here. For a new business, that way you don't have to be here till 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay,
Now?
go ahead now, you're
Okay.
on.
Yeah, so Glenn and I just wanted to come out to the community. We're actually going out to all of our local units. We thought it was a good time of year to just kind of address code enforcement and our procedure. I know you guys are pretty familiar with things. We've been at this for a few years now. I also wanted to say, as Jeff had said, that I'm currently serving as interim director for the county planning department, on track to be the director. So I know we all just re-signed contracts for everything. Obviously, this is something that we've created. So if anyone ever has questions, comments, sees room for improvement, let us know, because, you know, I think the system we have works pretty well, but there's always room to change that because it's ours. It's, you know, we made these contracts. We can always change things procedurally, how you guys see fit. So just reminding that of that. And more so for the public, you know, we act as your zoning administrator and your code enforcement officer. Each of those individuals are controlled by ordinances, so you will see some crossover because we do assist each other with site visits and things. But when it's all said and done, it's really the zoning administrator enforcing the zoning ordinance and the code enforcement officer enforcing the blight ordinance. So there's a clear distinction between those. And yeah, so I just kind of wanted to introduce things for Glenn, talk about my new position. And then I'll kind of turn it over to Glenn to talk about procedure, his report, and any questions that you guys might have.
And you wanted to put some more blight in our blight ordinance? Or just some more?
If that was something that you guys wanted, if you wanted to
Yeah.
see,
we need to get with the,
Planning?
planning department, or planning, not you guys, planning commission on that, and review that, I think.
yeah, and I think a couple of the, we don't have to get into the specific concerns,
Right.
but I think a couple of the things that, we had talked about, you know, you could look at some of the other junk and blight ordinances, off the top of my head, I can think of a couple of the other communities who have things that might specifically address, you know, what you were concerned about in that particular scenario, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that if there's things that you're seeing that aren't necessarily, you know, you're like, wow, this is meeting the ordinance. I would just encourage everyone to review the ordinance, kick it to the planning commission,
Mhm.
see if there's anything more that can be implemented. Because with the junk and blight ordinances, that's your police power ordinance, and nobody's grandfathered, you know, as soon as you create that regulation, it's gotta be adhered to.
So you're suggesting, even though it's a police power ordinance, I go to the planning commission, is that how the first one was written, or should we just review it as a township board?
I think that either way is appropriate. It doesn't need to go to the planning commission because it's not gonna be
Oh,
something
okay.
controlled by the Planning Enabling Act. But as your recommending advisory body, you could, you know, task them with that to give you recommendations as the board. But ultimately, that will be a township board decision. The planning commission does not need to approve that ordinance.
Okay,
Still ask for the info,
right.
which is what I thought. Before I can put Glenn on, Dan is here. Dan had brought up a couple of things with me. We wasn't talk about this while Katie's here. Some about roads here. If somebody comes in and wants to work on a paper road,
Mhm.
they've usually come to us and ask permission
Yes,
to improve it, right?
yeah, and your
Except-
ordinance,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, your ordinance does lay out procedure for developing, paper roads. It's not something that we've really utilized or implemented, because a lot of times it's someone just wanting to do like a driveway using the right of way or whatnot. But there is regulation and procedure for maintenance agreements and, things to that effect for if someone's truly developing a section of a, paper road, then everyone who utilizes that road is supposed to jump on and get onto a maintenance agreement that comes to the township board.
Even if it's, well, it'd be a platted paper road, they don't. See, that's where the thing is, so why would they maintain, why would they have, well, see, how do they maintain that? Because it's
Through whatever
It's a
maintenance
county road.
agreement. Oh, it's a county road?
those paper roads are county roads, they're not.
Well, yeah, technically they're all county roads, but they're not Act 51 roads, so the road
No.
commission's not going to maintain or improve
Not
them.
plow them, no,
Yep, if the township isn't going to maintain or
we
improve
don't
them,
do that. though.
then it's on whatever private entity would like to, you know, utilize the road. And your zoning ordinance has a whole section on developing private roadways. it just, we haven't had a development come in that's warranted.
No, but it's not a private
Using
roadway. You
Or
said
I'm
private-
sorry, paper roadways. I didn't
Okay,
mean
yeah, it's not
private,
a
yeah.
private roadway.
Yeah, no, paper roads, there is a procedure for that, cause that was something that I, really dove into when I first started administering, like who does this? If the township's not gonna develop these roads, then. But yeah, and everyone else handles it the same way. It's like, if you wanna improve the public right of way, get your permissions.
They've always usually come to the township board and asked our permission to improve it. We've given permission to do it.
Right,
But we've never said they had to meet a spec.
right. Well, and I don't think that that's come up particularly, even in my time with administering, it's more one-offs or people just adding a driveway or whatnot. But yeah, your zoning ordinance
So
does
Dan,
lay
I'll ask Dan,
out.
'cause he's behind you. So Dan, what about Wickedy Wall over there? What's?
Well, there are paper platted roads,
Mhm,
and the county has accepted, maintenance of some of the roads that are
Mhm.
there. The paper platted roads that they are not maintaining at this point.
mhm.
There's no one seems to know where to go about that. Where do you go with a paper platted road that's part of the subdivision?
Mhm.
And the county has not accepted it into their bailiwick in terms of maintaining it. Who do you go to?
Okay.
Who do you find the specs, who do you get the specs from?
So then I can answer that I didn't understand. The specs we have, you have to follow county road spec.
Well, and I think your zoning ordinance is just reflective of the county road specs, because it talks about if there's, I don't know if this is exactly it, but essentially if there's 3 or more parcels accessed
It
by
has
the
to be X
private
amount
road,
of feet
yes, and
wide,
then
it
if
has
it's
to be
more.
this much gravel and all that, if you want it maintained.
Yes.
Otherwise, they won't do it. That's the key. You can
Right,
improve
so,
it to drive on it, but you're not gonna give them to maintain it.
yes, so I'm understanding this now too. If the road commission has agreed to maintain particular roads, if you want them to maintain the paper roads, I think they'd have to be developed up to their standards, and then you could.
Okay, but who approves the development of any of the paper platted roads?
So township,
Township.
if in fact you just wanna use it for a 2-track and whatever, yeah, we would not stop you from doing that.
Okay, do they have to have specs for that also?
Technically, yes,
I
if
thought so.
it's, yeah, and that is in the zoning ordinance. I can send you that.
The zoning ordinance has got the specs
Yes.
spelled out, it does?
Yes.
Oh, I looked, I couldn't find it.
It's, I think the section is development of private and platted roads.
Private, but it's not a private, I'm sorry.
Right.
Private platted road.
Yeah, it talks about the platted paper roads too. I can send you, that section. I think we've emailed before, right?
Hmm?
We've emailed before,
Yeah.
right? Okay, I'll send you that section of the zoning ordinance. that-
I'll look again, but I couldn't find it. Please do that.
Yes.
I'll look again.
But that person should have come to the township board and asked. They've always done that in the past, asked permission about what can I do to this paper road?
I'll just give you an example. There are several paper platted roads out there. Yeah, nothing is being done with, but example, there was earth moved in one place recently, less than 300 feet from the lake. DEQ should have been involved with that. The kind, then what was put on it was significant amount of impervious surface and was concrete or. And it's really, there ought to be a way for people to understand what they have to do if they're gonna do it. I'm not trying to say you can't develop things, but there needs to be some specs in terms of what to do.
Why, Dan, I think there is specs in there now, so maybe,
Well, that sounds like a zoning ordinance violation, so I think that ought to be inspected.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, it sounds like a soil erosion violation.
But if
Wow.
they approve something in a paper platted road,
Right,
and it wasn't in and there's a section in our zoning ordinance that addresses that, and they didn't come get permission, then it's a
could
violation.
you look
Right.
at that?
Yeah,
Have her go look at it.
I can look into it.
And and the other thing was the fact that Eagle should be involved with that, and it's less than 300, so that was 300 feet, 455.
500 for soil erosion, but Eagle's only involved if we're in their regulated areas, so if it's wetlands, but a lot of Wickiwa, a lot of around
Lot of
Portage
was-
Lake is wetlands.
Yeah.
So that's the only.
When we had the big, what should I say, water levels.
Mhm,
recently,
high water levels.
I had to pay for $800 in my front yard, so I could put some fill in there. DEQ had to come and approve it.
Yes,
And so everybody that's in the front, everybody that's on, Lakeshore Drive out there.
in the wetlands,
Yeah.
And with the road regulations being contained in the zoning ordinance, I would say that it is something that we could address as the zoning administrator. But ultimately, that is township owned property, so it becomes a little bit, you know, like we
What's
deal,
down Township owned?
the public right of ways, you know, it's,
The
where
roads
it's
are not owned by
public.
us.
Our paper platted, that's my question, we've done this over.
We don't own any.
Our paper platted roads, are they township responsibilities? Whose responsibilities are for quality of those roads?
It would be the township is responsible for the quality of the platted roads that are not, because the road commission's not going to maintain unless they have an agreement, anything that's not an
And
active.
but we're not responsible for putting roads there.
Right, you're not responsible for putting them, so saying you own them was an incorrect statement, but that for enforcement action, it would really be, we have to figure out who is improving the platted roadway, and then it's really the township who is, you know, who has to kind of, I mean, you guys always have to deal with the enforcement, but it's not like it's a private landowner that we're dealing with when enforcing on the public road right of
And
ways.
if
It
there
becomes a
isn't-
little bit
if
more.
there isn't that procedure, my concern is that everybody who is along a paper platted road can do whatever they want wherever they're.
But I think, Dan, it's spelled out in our ordinance that you have to follow these things, and I could be wrong, but I'm sure Katie's
It
right.
is.
I mean.
Mhm.
So it sounds like, Dan, you've got a potential violation.
Mhm.
You need to get that to the township so that Glenn and or Katie can look at that and figure out who did it and what needs to
Yeah.
happen.
It would be helpful if we had, if you could get pictures or just,
I really, you know, all I'm trying to play, my role in this thing here is that we need to have people be aware of what they have to do.
Mhm.
I'm not interested in, you know, pointing my finger at people. I just saw things develop. You know, I reported things were developing. And, you know, there needs to be a procedure by which people do these kind of things.
The procedure, Dan, is if they don't know, they should ask, but what people tend
I
to
agree
do in
with
this
that.
township is they do it first and then they beg for forgiveness later, but they hope they don't get
That's what
caught.
happens a lot.
They don't ask. All they have to do is ask.
Yeah, I understand. I do understand that, Ed. I understand it completely,
But
which is why,
you're never gonna.
which is why I believe a zoning administrator should be a local person who drives around periodically and sees what's going on in the township. And that would solve a lot of
A
problems.
lot of that type of stuff is done by residents who drive around and report it like yourself or a township board member who sees it. And absent having, you know, a full-time staff person doing that, that's the system that we have. However, a lot of the complaints of zoning ordinance violations are complaint driven. So if you make the complaint to Dave,
I
then
didn't make
Dave,
any complaints.
okay, well, then you know what? If we don't know where that is, then we can't go in and look at it. So then I guess it's not an issue.
I know where it is, you know.
But I'm not
This
saying
is
that,
crazy, this is a crazy
but you
conversation.
didn't let me finish.
It's a crazy
If
conversation.
you let Dave Meister, the township
He did,
supervisor, know,
he emailed me, that's why I'm
So that-
bringing it up
so
today
that
with
Dave
her.
can go to Katie and your name is out of it. That's how that works.
My interest is helping people become aware of how you keep your community high quality.
Yeah.
That's my purpose. That's all the reason I'm.
And if the neighbor who violated the zoning ordinance gets a visit from our planning and zoning folks to educate them, you don't think that that's gonna trickle out? That's one way that you educate people. Not saying there has to be any fine or anything like that, but that's part of the education process.
If I may just make a quick.
Yeah, go ahead, you're up, yeah.
I'm gonna put another hat on here. I'm a state licensed soil erosion and sedimentation control inspector. And I've spent a lot of time in the township this year. Anytime we find out something like you're mentioning there, Dan, I usually get out within a day
Yeah, I
to
know.
take a look at it and see what's going on. Because I must admit, I've had many people start something or do something like that. And they're going, we didn't know. Okay, how about your other construction projects you have? Did you have to know it there? There's an education process that has to be required here. The rules are fairly well laid out in terms of, you know, the 500-foot range. Working with Eagle, we work with them all the time. If we don't know about it, I mean, I'm driving around all the time.
Yes, you are.
Let me know. I'll be glad to look into stuff like that.
So do we have a path forward on that one?
Yeah, I'll get with Katie, we'll figure out where that is, and then go and take a look, and then I'm sure if you, we'll look for that ordinance, I'm sure it spells it out in there.
Mhm.
In all the past years, they've always come in here and said, hey, we live on this road, we want to develop, but what do we need to do? Because we want it to be a super highway. We've said, well, you have to follow these rules. It's 24 foot wide of asphalt. the county won't accept a gravel road. So on that paper road, they make you do asphalt now, if I'm not mistaken. It has to be brought up to county specs. But if you wanna go in there and put some gravel so you can access your property, we can't stop you. I mean, you have every right to use that paper road that's on the plat.
How do you define who has the right for that?
I would think anyone that owns something.
I mean, technically, like we kind of joke about this internally, every public platted roadway is open to the public.
Yeah,
So like, if you were the type of person where you knew where all the paper roads existed, you could just kind of walk around in what appears to be everybody's yard and say, no, I'm actually in the public right of way.
sure.
Yeah, nobody really
But
wants to
Dan's
do
talking
that,
about
but,
improving them.
right.
You'd have to, I mean, you wanna improve it at some road that you don't live on, I guess that'd be up to you. I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Well, but if somebody,
You know, the other situations that are out there, people on the paper platted roads have adopted them as patios for their own
Right.
house. And paper platted roads have become a dumping station for anybody who doesn't have any place to put their garbage. That's happening. There's gotta be some way that somebody's in charge of this.
Well, Dan, you can't fix stupid. I mean, you're talking about fixing stupid.
We have laws, and we have
Yeah,
people.
but no one, Dan, I've been here 40-some years, you've been here that long, you can't fix that. I don't know how you fix that. It's no different than putting oil out here and dumping it in my recycle container.
Well, that's a terrible thing. I agree with that.
Okay, I mean, how do you fix that? You
Well,
can't have every rule in the book.
Dan, I'm glad you're bringing this up because it brings up a point, and I brought it up last time. In our zoning ordinance, although there's a discrepancy and the planning commission is fixing it, it requires surveys if the planning official deems that necessary in the residential district. They took out for the ag districts, because as you said, a house in the middle of a 40-acre parcel doesn't do a survey. But I have a big concern, especially in these very small parcels out here, that part of the confusion, and it deals with your roads, is people don't know where their property lines are. They might think they know where they are, but they don't. And the township traditionally has not wanted to require a survey when they're putting on a home addition or whatever. We leave that to the discretion of the zoning folks. I happen to think that it ought to be required more than we've been doing it, but that's my opinion.
I agree.
It's discretionary on
I
the
agree.
zoning people.
Yeah.
So part of the problem is people don't know where their property lines are, and they might in good faith think, you know, I put this little patio, and I think that's my property. They might not even realize it's a platted
Well,
road.
and I'll tell you that, in Wickety that property, that subdivision has been surveyed so many times that I can almost put you where every concrete marker is. I can almost find them. So everybody else ought to be able to see them too.
Yeah, and I think Wickety is different than out in Portage Point.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's for what that's worth. Katie, I have two other questions. One, congratulations on your promotion and to the interim and hopefully pending to the permanent. I think that's well deserved.
Thank you.
David, did you have a conversation with her about that parcel that was combined? Are we gonna uncombine that and are we gonna change our ordinance like Molly suggested?
It was with equalization. They didn't combine. Equalization would be the one, had a conversation with them. She's talking about the two lots and
The government law.
no, the 10-foot for Mr. Wood.
Yeah, that's what, yeah,
The-
the
the
legal
park.
description had like government law
Oh,
or
yeah,
something.
okay.
So has
that's
that been undone or is it gonna be undone or? Cause I need to deal with that when I finish drafting those letters. So we can take it offline as long as that's been addressed, so.
Mhm.
And,
Let me put a hypothetical question, which is also real in a number of cases. If someone in the township is dumping piles and piles of trash on a paper platted road that is owned by someone adjacent, who has a responsibility for stopping them?
dumping what? Refuse or
Refuse,
garbage? Or are you talking about?
Garbage, refuse, tree trimming, leaves, branches, roots. Tree roots.
Wouldn't you call the sheriff's department?
I would guess you call the sheriff department for littering.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
but are you talking, when you say leaves, are you mean only leaves or do you mean yard rubbish or do you mean trash rubbish?
Yard rubbish.
Garbage.
There's yard rubbish.
No, garbage.
Garbage, I've seen garbage too.
Okay, I guess they call the police.
Yeah, yard rubbish. That would be like a trespassing thing, wouldn't it?
Well, he's dumping another
Who
paper.
are they trespassing?
Oh.
Trespassing against the county?
It's still dumping trash. if
Township
it's
Well,
can't be trespassing.
From my perspective, if I were to get someone to call and say that someone is, you know, doing what was described on a paper road, I would bring it to the attention of the township. Because the road commission's not gonna come in and do anything about a paper road, and you guys would probably call the sheriff's
We
department.
would
So
just call the
that's how
sheriff.
it would go, you know, there's no other entity, I don't think, that would really enforce on that because.
So I
it's-
would call the sheriff and say, someone has reported this happened, and they'd ask me, do you know who it is? And then I'd say, I don't know, I have to ask the person that called, but the person that called wouldn't tell me.
I understand that, but what if you don't know?
Well,
How you gonna
I'm not
catch 'em?
Preston,
I have 2 cameras up someplace.
so I don't, you know, if you don't know, they're not gonna do DNA, I don't think.
The other issue you deal with, because we dealt with it down at Langland Park where people screaming out on the dunes and stuff like that. The sheriff will do something if the prosecutor will do something. If they don't
Yeah, it
feel
all
the prosecutor is gonna
goes
do
back to
anything,
resources.
you're not gonna get the sheriff out there. We had a guy, a red pickup truck with rebel flag in it, was driving around here a couple of years ago. He drove through the parking lot up onto the tops of the dunes in Langland.
Wow.
People got pictures of him and his license plate and stuff like this. Gave it to the sheriff. He said, I'll try, but I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna do. He came back and said, not gonna prosecute, we're not gonna do anything.
He should do it more in order to knock the dune down, but we shouldn't have gone after him. That's my own personal.
So let
Yeah.
it go for about 2
Well,
weeks.
they should have. Can I move, so you can finish you have something else to add about enforcement, didn't you?
Well, I was just
Cut
gonna
you
talk
off.
about code enforcement.
Yes,
Okay, yeah. I have been doing the code enforcement, this year, and we have 6 different local units of government that we're contracted with, yours being one of them. I've noticed, and I'm not saying specifically this body, but I've noticed that a lot of these bodies have not really looked into their code enforcement rules to know what should be done or how it can be done. So the process, I think, has to be streamlined, and I know right now I'm putting together a whole flow chart of how code enforcement comes in and how all we do is to enforce your rules and your laws. So that's, and I'm being very careful about that, and like we've done in the past, we also try to make sure that the complainant's identity remains between you and me. So we don't share that information, we're just trying to protect our citizens, but the overall philosophical side of code enforcement, forgive me for getting a little bit into the weeds here, is to get things cleaned up.
right, thank you.
It is not necessarily to incur legal costs with lawyers and courts.
Right.
And that has been the attitude I've been using. It might be contrary to what you wish, but that has been my understanding, is to help try and get things cleaned up, bring them up to code as best as possible. But sometimes there's things which are not in the codes. So that's why I personally am going to request that you take a look at the blight and zoning ordinances. Now, the 6 municipalities all are different. So it depends where I am as to what I can actually enforce. You know, we do have a very good relationship with a magistrate right now. I've run several cases through there. It takes some time, and that is very frustrating. Because we have laid out through most of our zoning, a certain process that we use once we have received the complaint from you. Notification, if they don't get back to us, we try again, blah, 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 we work through it. Invariably, what my goal is to meet with them at the property to ascertain if there is a violation. We've had some places where that's sort of questionable. If there is one, work with that resident to make sure they know what the problem is and what they need to do to clean it up. So that has been my goal. My goal has not been to write a bunch of tickets. And so far that has been working fairly well. There's some areas where it hasn't. I'll be the first to admit that. But it's a process we have been doing, and a number of actually all 3 of the villages I've been working with have said this approach has been working and people are seeing. I think, Ed, you made a comment that they see things being cleaned up, they'll start to clean it up. 3 of the villages I deal with said this year, because we have started really enforcing the rules, they're seeing people start to clean up. So which is the goal that I have been using as the code enforcement officer. So it's not always clear, but
Another thing to give some consideration to, probably, it's been about 5 years since we've had our relationship with the Onekama Township and
I believe that we just passed 3, because it was just the 3-year contract.
anyway,
Yeah.
the intention of that was to get the experience level that we can't get by ourselves. Higher that experience level, and also possibly sharing some of the development stuff that has to happen township to township to township here. To the lake, the land, and then shit that we're done. I think it would be well worth the time to go sit down with some of the other ones and go through the flight and how to deal with that and stuff like this. There is some value in, if there was 15 or 16 communities of having one set of light ordinances.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying it's the ideal,
it'll be a
thing,
lot easier for me, I know.
but we've definitely seen some improvement. But never
Well,
mind.
sir, that's the reason I have been working on our reporting system. And the last one that you received or have seen list each of the townships and villages that we provide code enforcement for. I did that so you could see what other townships are doing, what some of the complaints are, where we are on certain things. And the other thing here, and particularly in the village will remain nameless, but we've had circumstances where there might be a health issue or something within a family that is having trouble getting things cleaned up. I would try to, first of all, ascertain if it's actually true or not. And if I find that it is, I go back to the board and say, hey, can we cut them some slack? Can we give them till spring to move that pile of whatever? Because I don't want them to have a bad feeling about what we're doing, but I want to get them to do it. So that's where I'm trying to maintain a level of communication, but also the example for you to actually see what others are doing and the state that they are in.
And ultimately, all of this information would be, public record to an extent, could be FOIA-able. And Glenn is going to keep the report, concise enough that it's understood what's going on, but not to the point where it's, too much information that we're sharing it across all local units. But yeah, as long as everyone's okay with that, with going to all of the board and council meetings, I think it's a great idea that Glenn had for each community to see what's going on in the other communities, maybe give themselves ideas or, just so that everybody has a little bit more staying on the same page with how enforcement rolls.
Sure. Just so you know, I'll mention, because on the complaints I give to her or whatever, they put me down as a complainant.
Mhm.
So I've gotten chewed out at the hardware store this past summer by an individual that basically, because my name is on there, because I turned it in, I would not tell them who the person was that contacted me.
Mhm.
I do not give the name of the complaint. I say it came from like a township official.
Well, okay.
Yeah, we usually just say the township.
Thanks.
the village.
Yeah, but they said township official. Well, guess what? Him.
Yeah.
That's what happened. But anyways, I don't care, but that was kind of threw me back at the hardware store one Saturday morning.
He
So,
told me about that earlier.
so that, and I don't ever give up anyone's name.
Mhm.
So I'll take the heat. I don't.
Yeah, it can be difficult with the complaints, because people are always gonna assume who they know it came from. And even with how we have that system of, it came from your appointed or elected officials, we don't know, it came from the township. Sometimes people will just assume, well, I know it was my neighbor, and you're just covering.
Well, no, and
it,
all I
you know,
said
and-
was, he said, your name was, it was you. I finally said, okay, it was me.
Yeah,
Well, there you go, admitted. I said, I did. I called it in. That was actually a statement. I'm not the one that originated it, but I did call it in.
right.
I don't know if it made them feel any better, but
Mhm.
anyways, okay. Anything else, Katie?
No.
I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah, we basically just wanted to come show face and make sure if you guys had any questions or anything pressing, that, you could address that with us. And yeah, kind of show the new report and everything, so.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. You emailed me or you?
Yeah, I'm gonna email him and CC you.
Okay, thank you.
That section of the ordinance, yes.
There you go. Thanks
Uh-huh.
very much. I guess I'm about a new business election. We're gonna go through this quick because we're gonna go to closed session at 5:30. How about election update?
We have election inspector training November 14th. That's probably like the first one of a few.
Excellent.
10 AM and the countywide agreement was in your packet, just as an FYI.
Okay. Any questions? Ordinance 210-01 ORVs.
Suggested changes, they're in the packet.
You want that taken out, right?
The yellow marks on it, I think, so. Did you send out the yellow part?
Yeah.
That thing will be omitted, those sentences will be omitted. What it really basically does is takes,
That stretch out, right?
it takes out the sections of roads that we originally closed.
Porter's Point Drive from
Portage Point Drive,
M22. Yeah.
When it opens up. So it opens it up. And we'll handle the problems if they exist. We have had no tickets, no warnings, no accidents.
I know, because no one rides on M22.
And you wanna, believe it or not, this is a recreation town and it should not be all these restrictions for recreation people.
Maybe you can instead of you can't.
Yeah, it's gotta be a can instead of a can. Now, if there's something, if somebody does violate, let's handle that when it happens. Basically, this seems to be going on throughout the county.
I have two questions. I'm not necessarily opposed to that, but in terms of process, for doing a police power ordinance, don't we have to have a public hearing on that? And we don't have to, but do have we in the past? Or do we have to publish it? or-
I don't think we did. On this one, I don't think. we
For
did.
police power, no, you don't.
But have we as a recommended practice in the past or not? I don't think people, well, there's some people might care on this, like,
I don't think on this particular thing, what you're doing, that you, no, I don't think so, but would you feel more comfortable having one?
I would just like to know, and I also as, it came up at the last meeting, UTV, ATV, ORV, golf cart. Do we know there are
The
definitions in
distinction.
here? Are you comfortable with them that they're?
I would
covering
do
what-
all of the above.
See, a UTV is the new one.
Yeah,
That is a street legal license with a title,
Can't stop that.
so it doesn't.
okay, so that one's out. I don't
That
care
one's
about that.
A golf cart would be the same thing.
They're not street legal and licensed.
No,
You
you
can,
can be.
You can, but
Yeah.
most people don't.
but they're still running around Portage
Oh.
Point Drive, so I would include those.
It hasn't been a problem. And we have fishermen up here. They go down 22.
We have golf carts coming up and down this road too, so.
If you wanna take that out, then what would be the next step? Just vote on it tonight?
I'd like to see, I always think if we do an ordinance, my opinion, the attorney
Put it
should
out.
review it before we
Okay.
vote on it. Make sure that what we're doing is okay,
You wanna send that to them?
and then put it on the agenda for
I
approval. for
can,
next month.
and then,
That would be my preference, and I guess, you might run the
Public
question
hearing.
by him.
No, you could ask him if he thinks we need one.
Yeah.
Other those changes, why don't we just do that? Send it to Tom. Do we need to? That's the only question. Do we need to have a public hearing on this if we can just change it? Is the owl working for the meeting? Cannot get on.
Yeah, it's working, I have two people in attendance right now.
The owl is working.
Can't get on.
I can't, well, I can't help it. 9 minutes to go. Oh, they're not. Okay, I'll send them a text.
okay,
All right.
I don't know who it is. Okay. I'll just put yes.
You got that
Two
one.
people on.
That's fine with me. That's progress.
tell them to click the link on the website for the actual
On the agenda.
going to the meeting, or which one are they doing? Click the other one, but
Click the link on one.
with the one that they're. Click the opposite one of the one they're doing.
What's that little sign up there on the wall, say something, doesn't it?
Whoever is this is gonna be really mad at me. Never mind, are you guys, are we done with the
About
ordinance?
Using the.
Oh, that's how I set it up.
Oh,
That's nothing for this.
Dave, what are you gonna do? On the ordinance?
Oh, just,
We're just
send it to
sending
the
it to
attorney,
the
make sure it's
attorney.
okay, get an opinion if we have to have a public hearing, and put it on next month's agenda, if it's not. Cause we don't have to have a public hearing to change it, just put it on next month's agenda, right?
Mhm.
And act on it. So, correct?
Yes,
good enough for me.
Okay, I'm fine with removing all that, I have no issue with none of that. Okay, hunting on township property. This came up because they got
Okay.
numerous people wanting to hunt.
It came up because
Yes.
I talked to the DNR about the little deer, white-tailed deer on Portage Point. Andy Point, and there's 4 times the amount of deer out there that should be there. And I also came from a town, Midland, that had a Chippewa Nature Center, and they've had a hunting program on that nature center for 30 years. The problem is that our units are relatively small. But anyway, we were just gonna investigate it, take a look at it, and see if we could come down.
So what's everyone's opinion? Because you got the 40-acre piece, I had 2 calls the other day on that.
I don't,
this is actually on there because, we were disputing. No hunting on township property.
But the Parks and Rec has been looking at it from the standpoint of deer reduction.
Yeah, but who's going to, so we have right now no hunting,
And it,
right? Is that what we said?
Well, we have an ordinance that says no hunting on certain portions of Portage Point Drive. I had someone come in this week asking if we could put up signs on those areas for people that don't know that are coming into the area.
aren't they in state ordinances? I don't think they're in our ordinances, I think they're in state ordinances.
Well, we have an ordinance.
I
And
think
it is a
we,
state ordinance and we have one.
but there's other township properties, right, that don't.
Correct, but we need to do a motion or something that says no hunting on township property.
Otherwise, you're gonna have who gets the hunt.
We have people trying to claim hunting
Rights.
and we need to post it.
Yeah, the other thing reason we would need to focus on is because for the most part, we're only talking bow hunting, not shotgun or rifle, and I know some guys wanna use shotgun or rifle.
No, we have people
Yeah.
asking.
Al, yes,
So
they're asking for rights.
I'll repeat the statement that I made last time. I'm a hunter. I like to hunt. I support hunting. We have too many deer. But that said, I don't think there should be any hunting on any township property because of liability issues and management issues.
And I agree with that
I would
too.
make the motion that we not allow any hunting on any township property.
Can I purchase signs then?
Well, here, let's discussion. Yeah, it's a great idea.
Motion.
Okay, so motion made, seconded. You wanna purchase signs? We'll get some no hunting signs. Someone's gonna have to go put them up. Oh, our maintenance guy?
They need to be something besides the cheap plastic ones that fade and blow off.
Right.
The signs are gonna, you get signs, people choose not to read.
But as long as you just put a couple of them up, at least you've done it.
As long as you put it on a website, that should be sufficient.
Okay, all those in favor of that statement, no hunting allowed on township property in the township. Aye, opposed, that's
Nay.
carried. What's up?
Nay,
You're opposed?
Yes.
Okay,
Hell, open up your preserve to hunters and we can.
I do, I have 300 hunting it now.
There you go, we can clean the deer out.
Did you yay or nay or nothing?
yeah. It passed.
450 feet from a house.
He's gonna say, he can okay that.
He can okay that, right?
He can do 20 feet if he wants. Yeah.
If he
It's
does.
his property. Okay, short-term hunting, short-term rental, I'm sorry, short-term rental, we have some.
Need to take the next step. Because we have 2 people, that are denying the, letters of violation for.
Registering their short-term rental.
Registering, yes, one was hand delivered and still not, and not registering, and the ordinance specifically states that. each day that they, do not register is considered a violation. So, we will discuss this when we go back. Add that to our list.
Oh, okay, now you get 4 of them.
Is that something that can be discussed in court session?
Yes,
if no,
because it's attorney
Oh.
issue.
Okay. Township, we're blow through this. Township hall use. Shelley has an issue with,
Township hall use, I have a new procedure for everybody for township hall use, policy and procedures. As of December 1st, the township hall everybody will be booking it through the clerk's office, myself or Amber. It will go on a month-to-month basis. And
So we have,
there will be no repeat bookings. Like I said, it'll be month to month. You can email myself and Amber.
so if you have a reading date, let's say it's the first Wednesday of, the third Wednesday of the month. They just have to tell you in the beginning of the month, we need it for the third Wednesday night of the month.
You can't do
Yep.
it for the,
why can't we do it for the year?
I thought when I talked to you this.
You are all set for your January.
Yeah, but that's not for all of the next year.
No.
That seems much more restrictive than it needs to be.
Yeah.
Well, if you worked in my office, you would understand. I know that. And the township related events will supersede non-township related events, and the elections will take precedence over everybody.
And
The,
that's the reason for it right there.
Well, the election, we understand, but
Yeah.
this stuff about, we have 12 monthly meetings, why you can't schedule them if they're the same.
I think you should be able to do that, but.
well, okay, so when you have people scheduling meetings that don't tell me about it, and they just have the meeting. And it may be an illegal meeting, or it may not be an illegal meeting, or when you have people that book this room and they don't use the room, or I mean, I could go on and on. And we have people that are supposed to have meetings and they continue to change their dates. No, that's not how it's gonna happen anymore. So this is how we're gonna work. And we'll see how it goes.
But all you're asking them to do is to notify you at the beginning of the month, right? With an
Yes.
email that just says,
Yes.
hey, we're having our meeting on this day. If there's an issue, she get back to you. If there's no issue, you can
Yeah,
have
but if
the
you
same.
plan your meetings once a month for 12 months, and then somebody comes in on the third month and actually wants that date, their lack of planning shouldn't kick us out of the.
Let's say it's an election meeting.
Election meetings are different.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think you're getting kicked out for another meeting, right? You're not talking
No.
about, no. This, something that would supersede that would be more an election. Yes, sir.
Okay, an example, near and far friends. They publish them well in advance, so they've still gotta re-up every month with you. Even though they've got an established schedule.
I will talk with Mary and see if we can work something out.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure how to deal with that.
Don't you put on the website when the meetings are?
Our meetings.
They're supposed to
No.
be calendar on there.
I mean,
Planning
the
commission.
Harbor
That
Commission,
leads to another issue.
the Harbor Commission is on there every, right?
That leads to another issue. I don't get agendas. I don't get minutes. I mean,
You aren't getting minutes?
not from everybody. I'm supposed to,
Are you getting?
I'm not gonna single anybody out. I'm supposed to get minutes from every committee within 10 days of their
In
meeting.
the format prescribed in your bylaws,
But it's not, Jim, they're not talking about you.
not you.
No.
Everybody.
The Harbor Commission and the Planning Commission are probably the two committees I don't have issue.
Why can't we say we want it every first Thursday or every other month?
Because if I do it for you, then this committee's gonna say you're doing it for them, why can't you do it for me?
But then you're not putting it on the website that we're having our meetings until
The beginning of
first
the
of the
month.
month, which might mean that's the day I'm having my meeting.
I don't think we have enough information to make a decision if you're asking for a vote. Just we table it, so we get,
I'm the one in charge of this room.
you're the clerk of the Onekama Township. You're responsible for scheduling.
Helen was always in charge of this room and this building.
Why can't you do it on a quarterly basis? They file for the next quarter, and that gives them time to have their meeting, avoids things on the first of a month. And they re-up.
I will
Quarter at a
consider
time.
that.
Sounds reasonable.
I'll consider that, yeah. We could probably do quarterly.
You have to leave at what time?
I need to leave by 6:15.
Okay, so we have 4 things we have to do in closed session. I'm just gonna stop this because otherwise we'll run out
We
of
got one
time.
more item on the new business.
What is there?
Well, so
Oh, BSNA, I'm
So
sorry, go ahead.
in your packet was a proposal to upgrade our software. So BSNA is our primary accounting, payroll, accounts payable software. And they last updated that in they went from like a DOS version, I guess, like for a better word, to .NET in 2008. Seems like it was just yesterday. That's already a 15-year-old product in terms of the base of it. They are moving everything to a new platform, which is in the cloud, which has, that's where all the resources are gonna go to. They're not putting any more development resources into the .NET. In fact, they won't even sell some of their lesser used modules. They need to go to the cloud. So I'd like to consider, and we can think about this and maybe put it on the December agenda, or we can talk about it now, but they're 4 to 6 months out for scheduling this stuff. And so I would like to recommend that we make that change, at some point approve the proposal. We can budget for it through an amendment this year and then in the budgeting process for the next fiscal year, but at least we can get that scheduled for the calendar. And if we don't do it now, at some point, we're gonna probably be forced to do it, but I think it's a nice upgrade. It'll make Shelley's life easier, it'll make my life easier. And it's kind of like going from, I would say, Windows 3.1 to Windows XP, if you remember that change, only it's better than that. So it's just a discussion point. We can think about it and take action at the next meeting, or I'm not sure what the board's preference would be on there. It's not a budgeted item at this point, but it's
So
a
it's
6-month lead time.
28,000? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, it is,
The upgrade is 10,000.
10,000 for the upgrade, and then there's an additional, if they use all of this, 18,000 for training, which I don't think they'll use all of it, but it's also implementation of this. So you're buying the software, you're implementing it. That might not take all 18,000, but it'll probably take, and then annually, you have hosting fees of 1,200 bucks.
Yep.
And then your maintenance cost, I don't think we pay 10 now, we probably pay 7, 6, I'd have to look at that, so that does go up some. But it's what they're moving to. I mean, everybody is gonna be on the cloud at some point. It's kind of like they forced you to go to .NET. They haven't forced us yet, but at some point they will force us if we say.
Would it make it run smoother? Or any smoother?
It's a totally different, so the back end stuff is very similar, but the reporting and the interface, you'll be able to have a dashboard. So like if Shelley wants to monitor certain metrics or certain reports, it'll be there on the dashboard, if there's journal entries to post, whatever. And the reporting will be a lot more transparent, a lot better. We can do a demo, we can do it, I put it on here mainly for information, but it's something that, we need to consider, because you're gonna be forced to do it at some point.
We ought to consider this
Okay, we can put
Really?
on, okay.
on the next budget go around.
When do you need the decision by, Ed?
Well, I think these quotes are good for hundred and twenty days. The problem is the lead time. It's like I say, 4 to 6 months out. So if we waited until
Oh.
next budget cycle, March first, which we can do, we'd have to get a new proposal. The prices might go up. I think they probably will. And that could be a year out at that point because they have lots of customers and they're working on, people are slowly migrating to us.
So I would just put this
Why-
on the next month's agenda and figure out if we wanna go ahead and,
Okay.
It's something we could still take out of general.
You can do a budget amendment for the piece this year and the last
Would be
payment probably
next
won't
year.
happen until next fiscal year. So it's not all
So,
gonna
yeah.
go on this year's if you did that.
okay, put it on the agenda for next month.
Go back to the scheduling policy for this recycling. One of the things I'd like to see in there is that, Onekama Township ad hoc standing and the board groups, and reschedule.
I think that's.
Because otherwise, right now, the way this is written, every month you gotta schedule this board meeting,
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
right? So it doesn't make sense to do the other ones either.
Right.
So invasive species, planning commission, Parks and Rec, those ought to take priority over non-14s. For use of facilities, that's what we're here for.
Sounds pretty good. Okay, someone needs to make a motion to go into closed session for,
I will.
you have numerous things, you have to list them all.
Okay, I will move to go into closed session to discuss possible purchase and the terms of purchase of the vacant property 51-11-250-001-00 for recycling and other purchases. Also for the
Discussion of
discussion of
wetland,
wetlands, the discussion of short-term rental,
and discussion of enforcement, code,
code enforcement. That was a short-term rental.
Mr. DeVol. To discuss action to be taken.
Oh, yes,
Action to be taken.
action to be taken
A
on
motion and
consent,
brief to enforce
the
the
consent.
consent agreement. Those are the 4 items we're gonna discuss in closed session. Yeah, I know. I need someone to second that motion.
Second.
So I got Al, sorry, Bob,
Okay.
Al beat you to the
I'll
punch.
keep having it if we're keeping this.
Well, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay.
So I am gonna pause this recording, because I can do that and pick it back up when we come
Gonna
out.
tell them?
Yeah, so everybody on the meeting, we're going into closed session. You can still stay on. I'm just gonna pause recording right now, so we don't have a big blank spot.
Yeah, that's not.
I make a motion to return into regular session.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? That is carried. Okay. Does anybody have any motions they'd like to make?
Yes.
Okay,
I make the motion, that the board hereby authorizes Township Supervisor Meister to negotiate a sale price and other terms of purchase of the vacant property ID 51-11-250-001-00, and then bring the proposal for the proposed sale price and other proposed terms back to the Township Board for final approval.
I'll support.
support. Is there any discussion on
No
that?
discussion on me.
None, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's carried.
We should have, wait.
Oh, what, why? We're not spending any money. No, but on this, all I'm
No,
doing
he's
is,
bringing it
I'm
back.
just bringing it back for you to look at. So, well, almost kicked it out here. Okay, is there another motion? Should be to
Al?
enforce.
Like that, we recorded,
Pardon?
what you wrote down there, is what. the
You
motion
want,
is.
I can make them, you want me to make the motion and you second it?
You can do that too.
Yeah,
Okay,
go ahead, Shelley.
motion that the board supports pursuing the land protection project with the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy, subject to final written agreement.
Okay,
I think so. You okay?
no, you support that?
Yes, I support.
Any discussion? None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. One more.
That one,
Right, just make a motion.
yes, I have that one somewhere, do I?
You gotta leave, I guess.
Probably 7:20 or 6:20 probably-ish, 6:25 at the latest. I've gotta get the man on people.
That one is motion to pursue the hold on a second. Enforcement of the consent
The
and
DeVoe consent agreement.
DeVoe consent agreement,
That's it, that should,
and that's, yeah, that
That
covers
should be-
everything.
that should just be in a nutshell. We don't have to get too specific. Is that, we say that again now so everyone understands. Motion
Motion
to allow Mr. Greer.
allow Attorney Greer to file or to
Pursue
pursue the consent.
legal, I guess I'm saying this wrong and I can't find.
To pursue enforcement of the consent.
Yeah.
Thank you, that's what I meant to say. Yes, against Mike DeVoe.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second for that?
Yes.
I knew Bob would. Okay, is there any discussion? None, all being none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Enthusiastically, aye.
Opposed? None, okay. Vic, I'm gonna just get to you because you wanna leave, so what is it up on your, you have something to ask? What is it?
Number one, will you approve Rick Alamadine to replace Justin Settlemeyer on Parks and Rec? His application was in the packet.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Time out, I can't.
But we need some clarification in general about the policy of the application. We're getting mixed signals as to, do we just give it to this board for a record, or do we give it to the board for final approval?
It's final approval.
Final
We appoint-
approval.
We appoint the board commission members, board committee members.
Okay.
On recommendation.
The last time I asked that question to this board, it was, you guys do the approving, we just need the application done.
No,
No, you get the application, whatever you recommend to the board, and the board approves.
What was, I'm sorry, what was his name again?
It's Rick, R-I-C, Alamadine, A-L-A-M-E-D-D-I-N-E.
Okay. And then who second?
how's that work?
Discussion?
You guys are happy, Rick, with this?
Yes,
And
Okay,
the
our
term,
recommendation.
how long is the term?
Undetermined at this moment, but we'll
Okay.
talk about that in just a minute.
Okay,
Lifetime.
So it's not,
Would it be? Okay,
This will be-
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Okay, money.
okay. We had talked about, doing some work at Cardin. I was gonna have Rusty come in and pull the trees out. I've been advised that, it's invasive species. And that we need to have invasive species remediation, not have Rusty come in and do it. Tyler, is on Parks and Rec, and he's also going to be or is on invasive species, so. the work with-
Yeah, we haven't met, I'm sorry.
But he and Doug agree that the treatment will be appropriate. I have spent $4,000 of my $4,000 budget that's specifically for invasive species. I'm asking to spend another $1,500 in excess of that, but within my overall budget. So that when the invasive species treatment is done at North Point this fall, we will also do Cardin so that we can hit the ground running with Cardin next week. So over invasive species, but within my overall budget.
I'm supportive of that.
Yeah, me too.
It's within your budget, it just.
Yeah.
You making that motion? Or do
Oh,
we
it's
need a
within
motion?
his
It's
budget.
within his
Oh, never
budget.
mind.
We just did.
Yeah, you, consensus of the board, okay?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
You know, the invasive species is, it's not the, special
It's
assessment.
not the SAD.
No, it is just out of
Right,
operating budget.
right. Okay, anything else, Beck?
Yes, last month we talked about snow plowing North Point Park so that it can be used for cross-country skiing and that sort of thing. I don't know that we got approval that whoever does the plowing of this here, can we have them formalize that they're gonna plow?
We'd have to put it out for bids,
Okay,
because I don't know, do we have a plow?
do you have this?
No, do we have,
We're,
we have a plow guy for this year?
yes.
We do?
Yes,
Who?
Parsons.
Oh, did they bid it? You just hire them?
They bid it last year, yeah.
I didn't realize that.
They're gonna send us another quote. or
They got the bid last year and.
Did we
just-
bid it, or did we just hire them? I don't remember.
Yeah, they bid it, there was.
We didn't do it last year at all?
Yeah, he did once, then,
He-
no,
yeah.
he didn't either, he never did.
He tried and then
Right.
Van Vorst
Oh, Chad
kind
did it.
of, and
Would we
then
wanna give everyone a chance and bid it, or no?
we already
We already.
gave it to Larson.
Okay, how much are they charging?
$900 a day, I don't know. You're gonna find out.
No, no, I don't wanna find out now. They
I
must-
brought it to the board and you guys approved it months ago. Do you not look at your packet?
Apparently I didn't see that. Well, how come no one can just tell me today, right now?
I don't recall
I
what
don't
the
recall
cost
what it
was.
is.
Why doesn't somebody look it up and remind us?
Just so I know, but then we're gonna have to bid that. My point is, we have to bid that out, because,
Okay, I don't know what the process is, I'm just asking.
well, I need to get, you really, if you wanna have it plowed, we need to get hold a couple snow plowers that are plowing out in that area.
Well,
Cause it'd be kinda nice to have someone that's right there.
It'd be nice to have the same contractor, so you only have to make one call when it's a problem.
If you follow the spending policy that we have, and it desperately needs to be updated, it says if it's less than $20,000, and you're familiar with the contractor.
You just hire 'em.
You just hire them. We're familiar with Larson,
I'd hire them, but I'd like to know, remember.
I wanna know how much
reminder
it
of what
is,
they're-
but I think we need to go back and take a look at that spending policy and update it, because it needs some
It's
serious
too
update.
cumbersome.
We can do it over a bottle of wine.
Okay, never
Okay.
mind. Oh, Beck, go ahead.
So.
I'll take care of that, Larson, okay.
Okay, speaking of the bylaws, I have a copy of them that I only have a hard copy, so I sent them to Shelley.
Yep,
There were a couple of things in there that, I didn't know whether they were typos or not. But I'm using this as our bylaws. I want to tell the board that of all the members on Parks and Rec, none of us know what our terms are. I would like to operate under these bylaws unless there's some changes that the board wants to make to them. And I would like to establish terms for each one of our members. And the reason this is coming up
you
is,
have terms.
well, but nobody on Parks and Rec knows what their term is.
So when we,
Most of y'all are expired.
so when we appoint, when we appoint people to boards and committees, and I sent Shelley some information, she sent it back. We should be appointing them to a term ending blah, blah, blah. So I think we can get there. If you guys don't know what they are, we can look it up and we can
stagger.
administratively stagger them. Or bring it back to the board next month.
I was going to do that and present it to you.
That's fine. What?
I can give you what I have.
Now, Ed, are there any?
Well, it says here in the bylaws,
Forever?
No.
Says you want to balance it, I think.
Shall term.
3-year term of office, terms shall be staggered so that approximately 1/3 of the members' terms expire each year.
One of the things that I was considering amending is that we have a member from village and we have a member from the school district. And our recent member from the village said, I've been on for 3 years, it'd be a good idea to get someone else on the board, so we
Okay.
eventually, I'd like to do the same thing with the school district, make those 2-year terms so that we can get a lot of board members flowing through. Gary's been on for like 5 years now, so it's time, and Gary agrees.
You mean 3-year term?
3-year term.
I was thinking that with the village and the town, the village and the school board, make it 2, so we can start cycling people through a little bit more
It
rapidly.
complicates the staggering with 3, if you have
The best staggering I've seen is where you bring new people in that 1 year. And the people that were at 1 year, you bump them up. And you keep going that way. That's the most effective one.
that way you're not losing more than a third, but
Okay, all right, so
3 is better than 5, but not as good as 2.
all right, so three it will be, and Shelley's gonna send me what you have, and then I'll.
And then we'll figure it out, you're gonna have 1, 2, and 3-year terms then
And
going
I'll
forward.
get it
Okay.
back to you.
Okay,
Yeah, the only term that, is not subject to that is your board representative.
Correct,
They don't have a time limit. Their time limit is time on the committee.
correct. The last thing, I was reminded, in our discussions, or in your discussions earlier about, the attorney and changing ordinances and such. Remember, we talked about the road end ordinance 2 or 3 months ago. I don't know that ever went to the attorney. I don't know if that change ever made, but I wrote that down when I heard you talking about other things. Because when the map is finally done, the rec map is done, we're gonna be pointing to the road end ordinance. I'd like to be pointing to the new one. And last month, I think Ed asked the question, well, do we have to have the attorney advise us whether we're making a change or not? And I just don't know whether anything's happened with respect to that.
Yeah, I think that maybe we should get that on December possibly. I think the attorney needs to look anytime we're
no,
changing.
we talked about having the attorney look at anything we were.
Okay.
But maybe we need to refresh what exactly needs to be changed so we can get him a draft or whatever.
Well, I have,
When is your map gonna be done?
the map's done.
Okay.
And
So,
I can't speak to when, planning is gonna actually formalize it, but the map is done. And, I'm gonna have one printed up for the wall here as well, but the map's done, I just didn't know whether the ordinance had been done. If you need me to resupply any of that information, I can do that.
Will you zip me an email on that, just so I have it fresh and I don't have to dig through emails?
Vic, if you give me that map, I'll do it, cause I wanna be consistent with what we have going here.
Oh, you know what? I had not given them the order. I told them I want one of those quarter.
No, I want them to be consistent, that's why this guy, see that little card up there on that one?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
That's who did it. And he's familiar with what we're doing.
So Beckett and Rader has the map. So I need to have them get the map to this guy?
No, to you or to me or somebody, so we'll take it down to Ludington and have it mounted.
ladies and gentlemen, I have to leave.
Go.
Shelley, if you'll just hit stop on the recording and leave this, or I'll get it on my way back through.
Okay.
Just leave that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ed. How about, application for invasive species for Tyler? Who's presenting that? I am. You are gonna do that? Okay.
All we gotta do is approve it.
Beck? Done?
Yes, done.
Okay, thank you.
You.
Have a safe trip. Harbor Commission, Jim turned his thing in, right? His report?
Yep.
Did we approve the application?
The minutes, yes.
He's on Harbor Commission.
Okay, Parks and,
I have a question on Harbor Commission. Do they remove that buoy?
Thanks,
no.
The green one? I don't.
That's Army Corps.
I think
mean,
so.
the Coast Guard, I mean,
Yeah,
buoy
I think-
tanker comes in and does that.
They take it out of here?
Yeah,
well, they remove
it to the wind, yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
The buoy tender people.
We don't have invasive on here anymore. How is Al gonna, okay, anyway.
Oh, it's not? I'm sorry. Yeah, it is.
Where?
Turn it over.
On the upside down, yeah.
No.
She had 3 more hours.
Okay, no, you got 10 more minutes. Okay, Parks and Rec, gone. Planning Commission.
I have a report from him.
And Mr. Trout is not doing very well.
Yeah, he probably got it.
Dave was on there, but he's still.
He's got about a week or two.
Oh,
Dave Wallace has called in, it doesn't look like he's on there.
Dave, are you on there?
They're shooting him up pretty high with morphine.
I think he was.
Okay, yeah, it's just,
I have a report from him.
Okay, on file, that's all.
Yeah, I can email it to you
Okay,
guys.
no, that would be great, actually. Okay. I'm moving on. Roads, Bob, and you were at the road commission. I see that's Millark Road thing, but they didn't get approval from Bear Lake, right?
No,
Okay.
you have to sign it, they have to sign it.
I don't think Bear Lake's gonna sign it, but,
I don't know, you don't know. This is we got a restart to finish, Millark Road that wasn't done.
part that wasn't done, and it's
Yeah.
about, how much more now?
10 grand more.
Oh, it's more than it was.
And I think it was 74, yeah, it was 74, it's 82 now. Our share is 82.8. The total project is 5.
When are we gonna know if Bear Lake signs it?
Well, we sign it, send it in, that's as far as we can go, and if they don't sign it, then that's just a dead issue.
Again. Will they notify us if they sign it? Like, will Mark?
No, Mark will, yes. I will find out about it.
Okay, but are you, okay, we're submitting this. I don't see where there's a place for me to sign it anyways. I think they're looking for some approval in the. Well, there's no place for me to sign it. This is their estimate. Prior to obtaining bids.
If
Blah,
I
blah,
figure
blah.
it won't get done.
It says both townships need to commit to the project.
There you go.
How about somebody make a motion
I'll make a motion.
that we would commit to the Millark Road 2024 road resurfacing project and our share at $82,800.
I'll second that motion.
You're making that motion.
You made the motion.
And Al seconded the motion. Okay, any discussion? None. All in favor, so say aye. Aye, opposed? No, that's carried. To make sure it makes the minutes just like that, we send a copy of the minutes to them. Okay,
By the 20th.
well, we can do that, fine. And I don't care about the rest of the roads today. Well, I do, what about 11 Mile? Talk about that
11
today?
Mile is. We got several on the schedule.
Okay,
We have, well, for 23. There's. All the little short roads out on a point are gonna be redone.
yeah, we knew that, so, okay.
All the ones that we have already approved.
Are done, you just don't have the final bid back for 11 Mile, okay,
Final bid is like this year for 11 Mile.
okay,
Engineering's all done.
okay. Cause I'm gonna get asked again by my favorite neighbor. Anyways. Invasive species, Al, you have a report, plus you would like to recommend.
The report, did Michelle turn it in, you know?
I don't know.
I haven't gotten one.
Cause she's doing minutes for us every meeting.
Michelle hasn't been giving them to you.
She's supposed to give it to our
Well-
secretary.
Okay, so here it gets to the whole point about this other thing. She needs to do that, right, on a timely basis, or she.
Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah, there's several committees that need to get cleaned up.
Okay, and I'm not harping on it, just,
Well, and part of our problem is we're having trouble getting enough people in the summertime because we're all so busy during the time frame, and we do a lot of our work during Richmond, so
okay,
other than that.
okay. You recommending Tyler, the
I
board?
recommended Tyler to the board, but, we've also sent out applications. And I didn't receive any response.
No, I did not. receive
Okay,
any.
so this is the only one you got. Are you recommending that we appoint him?
He's a good guy.
Yes,
Yes, okay.
3 years,
You want to make that motion?
yes.
You're making that motion to appoint Tyler Dula.
To a 3-year term on the invasive species committee for the
Second.
Okay, Bob is seconded. Any discussion? None being heard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, carried. Okay,
The other thing, I mean, Shelley's been sending me folks and other people have been calling me and about their invasives on their private property, and we've been assisting those folks throughout the summer, but
Mhm.
again, trying to get enough people for our.
No, I get it.
summer.
I get it.
Yep, summer is a hard time.
The other problem that we got is it's a native, species may look an awful lot like an invasive species, Phragmites is one of them, where we've got Phragmites out there, and some of the spots that have been turned in and that get treated are native.
Or non-native, yeah. Then they get mad, they go, they didn't treat it anyways, and I hear about it.
I just need 30 seconds more, because I got, the E. coli information. We don't have all the information yet on, the DNA.
Well, I think we do, it's not human.
Yeah,
It's not human.
Well,
didn't you get that email?
yeah, but you didn't read it well enough. If you go in there, they're gonna run another human,
Really?
and I've called them up to find out, okay, if you got one that's negative, are you just repeating this one? It doesn't seem to be the same number. It looks like they're gonna use a different test for some reason.
And you talked to the Ferris guy.
No, I've been trying to get his telephone number and his email address. I can't get it yet. But I called him and said,
You got it.
I have it.
I don't like his report, but let's hear it maybe. You know when they did
what
the
report did you see? Because the report that I saw was a paragraph long.
Oh, I got several pages. I
Of what?
emailed it to you.
Of what?
The results.
The results of him, everything he did.
Matt did or the
No,
Ferris did?
Ferris.
Okay, because I haven't seen that. The Ferris guy supposedly confirmed that the two streams that we've been seeing as hotspots are hotspots.
Yes,
But they're animal.
they're
For the
animals,
last
yeah.
40 years. For the last 10 years. Anyways, you don't have the report.
I
She needs
sent,
to forward it to you
yeah, I
again.
can send it to
Okay.
you again.
Cause I think we have the report you're talking about.
Yeah.
That you don't have. it
Depends on what
saved.
address you're forwarding it to.
I think I send it in the group that I send it's your A Taylor one.
I don't get that. I've been having some difficulty with it.
So you haven't been getting anything that I've been sending you,
If you send it to Winsong, I get it,
not your township one.
right.
That's lovely.
Okay, so she didn't know
I'm not
that.
the only one that doesn't use that address. It's on,
Well, okay, so we can't use our personal addresses. So
Unless
we
you
need
want,
to
unless you
know
want
that.
it foilable.
so that means for the 4 teams I'm on for the township, I gotta get 4 different email systems.
No,
no.
that's why you have your A Taylor one.
All you need to do is send it to that one.
You don't be using your personal one for all your planning, your invasive, don't use that.
Or it's foilable, everything.
Yes,
In there.
and we have been getting
We
FOIAs
begin FOIAs for that.
for
Personal
personal emails.
Who's just following in your shoes?
I,
No, he switched over.
And they can come and grab your personal computer, the lawyer can come and grab your
been taking,
phone and your computer and
Yep.
take it until they court.
yep, so deems
Only
it,
if you can get in the door.
well, whatever, I know you got, it. Anyway, so she will forward that, okay, so we have that report.
But he's gotta explain to me why he's running another human DNA test if he hadn't.
Apparently, there's multiple humans. I'm
There's
an
alien.
alien.
And then the other thing he said is, the one on Easy Street picked up dog
Yeah,
and,
deer.
deer.
I can't imagine that, the deer don't poo-poo outside.
Oh,
I'm just telling you, well,
No, but
the thing we gotta decide is, the way we set this thing up,
So,
the way that we set this thing up on E. coli is they set this up on a beach monitoring system. That's how they get their samples and stuff with this. And I asked the health department, I said, if the sample's hot, what do you do with it? They said, we tell you. We're not here evaluating beach or swimmability, we're here at your request to measure E. coli in the water. And we haven't taken any responsibility for doing any reporting of that or any restrictions of that. Last year, we had,
consistently, yearly.
Yeah, they shouldn't be swimming over by Easy Street and they do.
yeah, but how are we gonna come on that?
Well, that's
Yeah.
the health department's job.
That's not-
It's private beach. It's
well,
not,
that's fine, but if they don't want to listen, that's fine.
But that's,
Again, this,
it's not, it's not private
I'm
water.
gonna say this a lot, you can't fix stupid around here anymore, let them, whatever, it is what it is, you report all you can do the best you can, if you choose to not listen, it's up to you. Done. Can't help. Can't make people do crap they don't wanna do.
Should we be putting it in the newspaper?
Oh, no, who reads the newspaper around here?
this is the
Put it on our website every morning if you want, and make sure it's on the front page.
All that yellow that's on here
Mhm.
are where we exceeded limits.
Mhm.
And should have reported it and, recommended against any type of, bodily contact with the water.
Okay. All you can do is put it on the website, though.
I think.
No, we need to
Traverse
do
City-
more.
Traverse City, when they have that outbreak off Boardman River in the bay, they just put it on the radio.
On the radio. We have a radio station here, so
Mhm.
We do.
we do?
Well, I'll work out a process and come back to this group and say.
Are they on XM?
The other thing that is seeing this is that we've now seen another spot working its way up. And that's near the Portage Point Inn.
Oh, Lord.
Good.
It's called, well, where's Third Street Public Access?
Isn't that
That's
over?
closer to Third Street's down between the Porsche Point Inn and the Yacht Club.
Second Street's going out to
That's
the.
where they, the high level.
No. No.
That must be a mistake. That's all good stuff there, man. Come on.
Third Street's down by the yacht club.
If you're not gonna believe the data, why are we getting it?
I've had all these people tell me that we don't need sewers, everything's working fine here. The data's probably wrong. Must be.
Well, this is the first year we've seen that come up.
Okay, I'm being facetious, Al. Let's move on.
I'm not doing another
I
sewer.
don't think we react to one data point either.
Okay, just a quick update, and our group has been effective, we developed this early detection rapid response and worked well this summer. We used a lot less chemicals than we have in the past, the fishermen are,
Happier?
well, we asked, have you been hearing from the fishermen? We said no, and that's a good thing.
Okay,
So we have been working behind the scenes, but I'm sorry, Shelley, we haven't been getting you the right stuff, so we'll work on that. And we do have a meeting on the 20th, and we have lots of things, but the Park and Rec Commission wants us to work on terrestrial stuff too. I don't know how you guys feel about that. We mostly, I guess it's a township, invasive species committee, and we have developed a subcommittee, which of those people that are interested in terrestrial too, and that would be me and Alexis. And Tyler is also a candidate for that
Yeah, I told them I'd
subcommittee.
be interested in it as well.
Yeah, so, you know, we have, most of the public has been calling me and I've been giving them recommendations and places to go to get more information. This knotweed here has been getting a lot of calls, and that's a really, really bad one. I think that's the worst one we have in the township. In Europe, you have to report that you've had it on your property, even if it's 20 years ago. And you lose a good portion of your property value. And people have actually committed suicide because of that plant right there.
what?
Are you
So-
kidding? I thought I would go autumn olive.
Oh, no, and so when we go to training, we'll put out autumn olive just to get people in the room, but that autumn olive is not anywhere near as bad as some of these other ones that we have.
Wow.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding you at all.
Why, what is, I didn't even know what it's
You
not.
walk down 8 Mile
It's
Road.
that plant right out back here that turned brown. So
Does it have to be in a damp location?
it doesn't,
Oh.
but there's another one in the township, I think that it also has in the damp location, so I think we might be able to use the PLM with the SAD. to-
Not that we can do anything about this. Will we do anything about autumn olive? It's getting worse and worse around here.
It's
And,
not
you
gonna
know,
be.
I mean, we can, and I was thinking about bringing this up to our committee, I mean, we can look for alternative funding sources for terrestrial and things like that.
There's some areas that are like,
Yeah, I mean,
Choked off.
I just
and
did
so we
3
have a-
acres of my property, got rid of them.
and so we have the IFN, the Four County region, we have a priority list of species that we're concerned about for this area. And their
Okay.
list is available and.
could we
that was
spend a
on-
little time researching to see if we can maybe come up with some money or find some money or see if people would pay?
Well, the problem is with, autumn olives, is that if your neighbor doesn't take care of his,
I know you're screwed.
you're screwed. You can do everything you want, you can pay for things, you can do everything perfectly, and the birds are gonna go.
And the deer didn't eat it.
Well, they do, and they eat, the problem is the birds eat to spread the seeds, so you can't stop
Take a look at
it.
down 8 Mile here, as you get down towards 31 there.
Oh, that's
It's
terrible.
just solid fields of autumn. You can't even get off the road 20 yards.
Yeah.
It's to a point where you have to have a huge brush cover now.
Even barberry, the decorative picker bush in front of people's house, I consider that much worse than autumn olive because if you have an acre of property without barberry on it, you have 7 to 9 deer ticks on it. If you have barberry on it, you have over 120 deer ticks on that property. So I consider it a health threat.
Why is that? They hang out in that?
Well, small mammals hide underneath the picker bush.
Oh, because, so they're there
Owls
looking
can't
for.
get it.
Okay,
So, there's other things, other considerations, and so I was talking with Vic while you were gone about priorities in some of these parks, and we'll work with that group.
Yeah, I
and make some
talked to
recommendations.
Sig and I had a meeting and I went through what I wanted to see, because I don't want the invasive species group to be responsible for plant or park maintenance. Well, the Parks and Rec group ought to say, this is what we need to do, get the invasive species group involved to.
Yeah, here's
develop a
advisory
plan,
committee,
and
yeah,
I
that's what I consider so far, an advisory committee.
then- Yeah.
We've got,
Yeah, we're on the
so
same-
close, because they have funding. Yep.
I just didn't want the parks to be another invasive species. We already have committees to handle
Yeah.
invasive species. If parks has a problem, get a hold of you guys.
Right.
And
that's-
Vic is reaching.
They have a hard time with that. We're gonna do it ourselves. We're gonna go out and cut them and.
And do you get every single invasive species on township, or you prioritize, I don't know, I mean. I'll leave that up to you guys, we'll make some recommendations.
all right,
for
thank
your
you,
time.
thank you very much, thank you.
Okay, I'll bring back the information
Okay,
on the
and make sure, we'll give you the information for this other guy, okay. ZBA, there is nothing,
I
right?
got a report, I'll email it to everybody.
Okay, I don't wanna ask you about that, PLA. Anything coming up?
well, we just elected directors.
Okay,
Christmas in Onekama is coming up on the 18th.
thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Okay,
And we're gonna sit down and do a strategy session, because there's some question right now as to what the function of the PLA is in the community. And what should we be doing? There's some people that are trying to push the PLA to be kind of promote the economic development. So there's a bunch of questions we have to ask ourselves. Originally, when the PLA was set up, they were set up, and if you look at our articles of incorporation, that took place in 1996, I think it was. We were a business nonprofit, kind of like a nonprofit chamber of commerce. So there are some good points that people are making that they would like to see handled by the PLA, but we need to be sure that we're going down the right path.
okay,
And
what's your guys in charge of recycling? No, okay, recycle, we already talked about that.
Yep, done.
Public comment, Rob,
I'm good.
None,
None.
correspondence,
it was in your packet.
received them, bills to be paid,
Make a motion to pay the bill.
second,
final discussion, none being heard, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, that's carried. Anything else before I adjourn? No, adjourn meeting, ending. Foul. Woo. Gotta see if it's off.